Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I just thought I'd do a quick little video to show you how I did this remote controlled transfer tank. Basically just a fuel pump and a remote. Connected a clear filter so you can see it flowing and see how bad it is. Powered by a little jump pack, or you could hardwire it in, whatever. Put a switch in your truck, whatever. Just works by remote. Has a draw tube in there, and that's a air intake. The cap does have a little vent in there, but I think the fuel could slosh around. This way you could fill it up all the way, and the vent in the top will allow it to vent and keep it from splashing around. So I just got it connected to a boat tank quick connect. I believe it does restrict the flow a little bit, but you could also just do a hose barb and hose clamps if you want, or whatever. So I just thought I'd try these, make it easy. Just connects through the bed to the filler tube. I'll show you. Got some old heater holes on there to prevent chafing from the edge of the bed. That just goes through. The bed sides are hollow, if you didn't know. Then it goes under here. This is the filler tube, and there's a fitting in here for a lift pump filler tube return. So I just use that, and that is a 1/2 inch ID inside diameter hose that comes off of there. And so I just got that looped around to here, where there's a 1/2 inch ID hose to 3/8 ID hose barbed adapter, and then it just runs up. So I'll show you this again because it's kind of cool. Really slick little remote control unit. Really easy to do, really easy to wire in. I'll show you in just a second. Okay, so how do we do it? I don't know if you have an experience wiring, but I'll just give you a real quick rundown. You have your power plug or hardwire. You could put a switch in here and hardwire, whatever you want to do. And you got the negative that connects all the negatives together. And then you have a positive feed. And then the magic happens from a jumper, in this case, from the positive to one of the switch leads. So that feeds the actual switch circuit a positive, and that's what gets turned on and off. So then the other side of that just gets sent out, connected to your load. So that's your pump, positive, and an LED or whatever else you're wiring. So it always gets power from here as long as the switch is on or it's plugged in or whatever it is. And then it feeds that positive to the switch, which internally is turned on and off, and it sends the power out the other side of the switch, and it turns it on. So in my case, for the tank, I used a Milton S-684, and that's the this air fitting here, just a tire Schrader valve. It has 1/8 inch NPT threads. Drill a 5/16 hole and basically just thread it in there, push it in. I put some silicone on there to help seal it up good, and then take the actual valve out, so that way it just works as a vent. So then we have a hose barb fitting in the top. That's a 3/8 inch that goes to the hose, and it's 1/2 inch male inside pipe NPT, National Pipe Thread. I use a straight one, but this would actually be better so that the hose doesn't get kinks and stuff. Then the magic is from one of these bulkhead fittings, and that is 1/2" NPT on the inside of here, on both sides. Most of these are going to come threaded, and theoretically these fittings should be stainless steel. Some people say that it is better in contact with a diesel, but you can decide for yourself. Then you have a compression fitting. So that's going to be threaded in on the inside on the bottom. It has a hex, you can tighten it up. And on these pipe threads, you do want to use some kind of thread sealant. I use yellow tape. It's supposed to be good for gases and stuff. Then this is a compression, and that is 1/2" outside diameter compression. That's how they're sized, by the outside diameter. So that basically just has a ferrule that goes in the end, and you thread it on there and clamp it down, and it squeezes it. Then you have whatever your tube is going to be, in this case aluminum. You could actually use a nylon tube if you can find the right size. Again, just go by the outside diameter, and it's going to be roughly 36 inches long. You know, make sure you cut it and deburr it, all that good stuff. So another way you can do it is using a bulkhead AN fitting. So ideally you'd want to do like a 8 AN, a couple of flat washers to help it seal and go on both sides of the tank. You know, basically works the same way. Then you just have this flare fitting, and on the end of the pipe you just put a flare, and then use a flare nut of the proper size. Another way you can do it is on the bottom you can use this 45-degree hose. Basically it's just an angle for a garden hose, and that will go right on here, angle it kind of up, and then it switches through an adapter to whatever pipe thread size you want, and it could make it easier to connect it and stuff, you know, 3/8 or whatever. Another option is what's called a spin weld, and this is a polyethylene tank, which is a type of the plastic similar to water tanks, and there's fittings you can get that use kind of a special tool. If you search, you can find the really expensive ones, but you can also find some that go on a 4.5-inch angle grinder, and that's going to be the cheapest. And basically it just puts a threaded fitting on there, and it basically just spins it fast, heats it up from friction, and kind of, you know, glues it to the tank. And then you just drill a hole in the center to go through. So that's about all you need, and then you can have a remote controlled whatever you want. In this case, a neat little pump. So you can be cruising down the highway, have it all connected, have your power source, and your fuel gauge is getting low. Flip that puppy on, and so hopefully it gives you some ideas and a little bit of information. You can always adapt it and, you know, make it whatever you need. I could picture 2 of these tanks through a T, and that would give you about 28 gallons of extra capacity. You could have them sitting in the back of your truck. One extra note with this air vent fitting, technically it would not be able to lay down like this right now. You'd have to put the valve back in probably. I don't know that the cap would seal it enough. This tank will always be standing up. The cap on here, like I mentioned, does have a vent. You can pop that out of there, and it's 1/4 NPT threads from what I've heard. So there's other ways you can add a vent. Some people put a deflator valve on. Basically just put in one of these type of things. You can put a deflator valve on there, set it for about 5 psi, and then your tank cannot over pressurize. So go ahead and try it. Like I said, I hope it gives you some ideas, and it's very simple, very basic, nothing fancy. This will just get used for like road trips and stuff where you want some extra capacity.